Welcome to another video for the channel, and this video is number 4 for configuring a drone with Betaflight. So we built our drone. We've now have an understanding that okay, it connects to the computer, it has the firmware, it has all ports opened. What else is missing? We need to have it able to fly, and the only way you can control it is by using the transmitter. Now I had a mistake earlier in the last few videos. Most likely I did say it, and what was that? This is your transmitter right here. So my transmitter is a Jumper T14, and it uses Express ELRS just like my receiver on the drone. So this transmit the data, this transmit the instructions, and this here receives it. So that was the mistake I've been doing, and hopefully didn't cause too much harm and too much damage, but sometimes you do little mistakes like that. Now I'm going to connect my drone to the Betaflight. So clearly you can see my receiver is blinking, and it's going to be blinking orange. It's blinking orange because it has no connection to a receiver, right, to a transmitter right there. That drone, it will turn solid red instead of blinking orange when it is connected. What's next to do? So currently I have the Wi-Fi running on that, but clearly there's many ways to bind. You can do the free power cycle. My drone isn't connected to the receiver as yet, and my receiver is on. I went to the settings and I went to Express ELRS, and this is the bind right here. So on Express ELRS I have bind, and if you're not able to do that, therefore you can just connect your transmitter to the computer, and I'll show you exactly how you can do it also. So I'm going to click on bind receiver. So now I've sent the bind request to the flight controller of this. So the bind request is now active, and now I'm going to click on bind on my receiver. I tried binding it twice, and now I'm going to press refresh, and nothing moves. Now that's expected because this here is not flashed, and also I need to install the module that also installed on that, and this one uses happy model. Now what you need to also bear in mind is that though you have installed a firmware, like I said earlier, this uses Express ELRS, which is Crossfire, aka CRSFA, and I have a Express ELRS / Crossfire receiver on my board. So if I had something differently, let's say if I had an S-bus, then therefore that will never connect for me. So knowing that I have the right receiver right here, using the UART, which is for ports, and Crossfire, everything is okay. So it doesn't bind, that's fine. So what I'm going to do right now, since it's already connected, I'm going to go to Express ELRS Web Flasher. So here on Express ELRS Web Flasher, I can now flash my transmitter or my receiver. Now, first and foremost, when you click on bind from here, when you click on bind receiver, it sends a signal, and it allows you to have Wi-Fi connectivity to this. So here you can see Express ELRS Wi-Fi right here. You'll not have internet access to it, don't think so. I don't want you to think so, but you will have access to where you can enter a binding code and also enter different stuff. So I'm going to connect to it because I need to show this for the video. It's not really that much of a big deal for me, but for people, yes. So here you have model, and so first off on options, here you need to add a binding code, and this one does not have a binding code. So here you have the binding UID has been set being traditional binding method. Example, well, that is binding or 3 times power cycle and bound via Lua script. So I can use a Lua script that I can download from this and upload it to Betaflight, and that's generally through my CLI, or I can have it installed via there's a place you can add the Lua script, but usually through CLI. So here my binding phrase, I'm going to add a binding phrase and let's see if it works. So I've never binded this receiver. This is a drone I've just built. I've only flashed it, but I did not bind it as yet. So I've added my binding phrase, and now my drone should restart. Let's try this again. Let's see what happens now. So it still blinks. It's not solid. That definitely tells me it's not connected. So what actually happened was, if you already have an existing drone, both the transmitter and the receiver have to have the same binding code. But apparently I could not remember the binding code for the transmitter, that's the controller. But still, my receiver or my drone needs to be flashed, so we'll get to that right now. You can flash your transmitter and also flash your receiver. So I'm going to go to receiver right here. I'm pretty sure I can remember the code for, well, the binding code, the binding phrase for this. So I'm going to use 3.6.0. And I'm going to be using happy model, which is what that is flashed on this. Which is what that is flashed on this transmitter right here. I'm going to be using the 900 hertz receiver, and also I'll be using target will be happy model ELRS. I'm going to click on next. So next I will have a binding phrase, and I'm just going to blur it out because this binding phrase is yeah, I can't really show it. So I'm going to have one. I'm pretty sure at 01. Here I'm going to use the EU868, which is what I use on all my different stuff, and I'm going to be using the Betaflight pass-through. So all you need to really understand is the receiver, what's being flashed on the receiver has to be corresponding to your transmitter. And press on next, and I'm going to click on connect. Here it is, and then here. Let's try again. So I have to restart the device. I'm going to disconnect it. I'm going to turn off auto connect on here, and I'm going to connect it. Now I'm going to connect. Let's try see if we can connect. And here it goes. Now I'm going to click on flash. Now everything here looks like it will work perfectly. Now this is the first time I'm flashing this receiver, like I've said. and that's one thing you have to do. You have to flash the receiver with a corresponding mod version, firmware version, to your transmitter right here. And you also need to flash it with the same module that it uses. So it uses happy module and uses the same well, this one here, it has at the back, it has an adapter that will connect to that express ELRS receiver on the drone, and this is why there's some different changes. If you've noticed anything and you have any idea, then you should know why it had different changes. So I can go back to the start right here. It's still flashing. It's still flashing, so I'm going to disconnect it and connect it back. Now, since it's still flashing, what I will have a good understanding of is that most likely I'm using a different transmitter that have that binding phrase that I entered. So now I'm going to flash the transmitter. Instead of flashing the transmitter, I'm just going to turn on its Wi-Fi capability. Connect to it and put the same binding phrase that I just entered on the drone. So here I have the EU 8680, that's normal, that's what I need. And now to put the same binding phrase that I have on the drone. Okay, my binding phrase 1. And then press save. It will now reboot my transmitter. So I'm going to press bind again. I'm going to go to Express ELRS and let's try and see if it will bind. It's now blinking orange again, that's fine. So now it binds, so it's perfectly red right now. So I just binded it. If right now there, I just binded it to my receiver by simply clicking bind receiver. And since I know that this uses the same module and same frequencies and EU 868, when that was flashed, that's the same thing I added to here. So if you do not know what your receiver use, if you buy a used receiver or a new one and you have to flash it, then use Express ELRS online flasher and then flash it and flash at it the same modules and frequencies, and then when they both have the same binding code, they do not flash automatically, that is, then therefore what you can do is just bind the receiver from Betaflight as in here, and then go to your Express ELRS transmitter, press your bind button or go up to your settings and press bind, and now everything works. If I go to here, I can just simply control this. I can clearly see on my drone. Okay, my drone is binded and that's fine, though it should not be rotating like that. So you can simply just, that's okay. But that's it for this video, guys, and in the next video it's all about the motors and identifying what direction the motors turn, are they turning the wrong direction, what direction the proper go, and so on. And that's it for this video. I hope everything is comprehensible, and if you have any questions you can leave a comment. I will respond. Thanks for watching.